I do feel like some of you are wondering why you're here. But do know if you felt called to click on this video, there may be a reason for that. There may be a message here that you are supposed to hear today. So bear with me. And if at any point what I'm saying does not feel it resonates with you, feel free to click off this video and watch something else. But my name is Alithia, and I am a tarot reader and oracle reader, among other things. And today I was feeling called just to sit down and record a message for the collective in regards to closing off this year of 2025 and bring some advice in for moving into 2026. I don't really know what is going to come up here today, but the title of this video, which I will be naming, of course, after relaying this message and recording, will probably give you or have given you an inkling to what is coming up here, and that's likely what drew you to click on this video. We are going to be pulling some cards here. We've got my Zodiac Tarot, one of my favorite tarot decks here, and I feel called to just begin by pulling three cards to gauge where you are at currently. This way you can see if this message is going to resonate for you in the here and now before we look at anything a little bit more futuristically. I do want to apologize if it is not the best sound quality. I am in India at the moment, in Goa, which is not the quietest place in the world, and my apartment walls are quite thin. So apologies if you can hear any dogs barking at any point or any voices. I hope it doesn't distract you from the message. But we have the first three cards here, which are the Four of Swords, the King of Pentacles, and the Knight of Wands. So this is going to help me interpret your current energy, and interesting. There's a number of things coming through here. Something is regenerating within you right now, or you are regenerating. I feel like you could be kind of self-isolating right now, or feeling called to do that, feeling very called to draw within and return to your own energy and pull back from too many external experiences. I feel like you're not feeling the most social at the moment. That doesn't mean you've given up all social activities or that you've cut yourself off from everyone, but it really does feel like you are feeling this profound need to just draw your energy back to yourself and return to yourself and really protect your energy. I'm hearing the words energetic boundaries, actually, and those are words I've been hearing a lot recently for myself. So perhaps that's actually something we're all thinking about right now, our energetic boundaries. Where do you start and where do they end? Or more, where do you end and where do they start? And yes, apologies if you can hear the music outside. It is, getting close to New Year's here in India at the time that I'm recording this video, and it's a little noisy, so apologies. But yeah, starting off here, I really do just feel like you are, it's not quite a full-blown hermit mode, but you're definitely feeling compelled and called to just pull your energy back to you, and you're not fully hibernating, but there are certain things I feel like you're protecting for yourself right now. I'm hearing the word secrets, actually, but it's not coming through like you're being sneaky or like you're keeping secrets from someone. I think it's more that you're just not feeling like you need to let everyone know what you are up to at the moment. You might be posting on social media less. You might be just sharing your life less with others in general. And this feels like something that is quite a conscious decision, or at least it feels like something that's very aligned for you at the moment. So there's definitely an element of introversion going on for you right now. If you're feeling like the life of the party right now, if you're feeling very social, I feel like this video might not be for you. Or even if you're acting that way right now, it does feel like you are feeling the call to really come back to yourself and be a little bit more selective with who you spend time with and what you spend time on. Yeah, and that word again, regeneration, it feels like this is for the purpose of replenishing yourself, and it's for the purpose of preparing yourself for the new year, preparing yourself for what you subconsciously or innately feel is approaching in the coming months or in the future, because it does feel like things are going to be big, things are going to take off for you on some level. Even if this isn't like in your conscious mind, your energy knows that something big is growing, something that is going to call you to really like rise up to a new level, into a position that you may have never even been in before. And I think this is something that's very connected to your physical and material reality. You could be sensing that something is soon going to take off for you in your career or just in your material world. I am hearing the word leadership, and I do feel like you may be on some level, whether it's again conscious or not, expecting and anticipating leadership in the next few months, stepping into some sort of position of leading. And this could just be becoming a leader for yourself. It could be leading your family or certain people around you. It could be literally being in like a management or leadership position in a career role. There's many ways that this could play out, but it does feel like you are going to need to be in a position where you can really take control and manage not only yourself, but potentially certain other energies around you. It feels like you are really preparing yourself for stability. Stability? No, that's not quite the right word. It feels like you're really preparing yourself to be a stable platform for further growth for both yourself and for supporting others in that. There's just this knowledge that you like need to get your shit together, basically, to put it kind of bluntly or lightly. And there is kind of a sense of urgency in this, like, oh my goodness, I really need to take time out for myself because things are going to move quickly when they do move. Oh my goodness, I really do need to return to myself and focus on what is important, because I know that there's going to be some sort of massive leap that I'm called to take. Or I know in the next few months, in the near future, I am going to be called to rise up into a position that I haven't been in before. There's almost a sense of anxiousness in this, to be honest. It is still with excitement though. It's that like nervous tension that I'm feeling here. And again, it feels so much like you are trying to protect your energy now, because you know that you are going to need to expand out of this isolation moment in the near future, and you know that some rapid movement is going to take place. I also think that this regeneration that was coming through is speaking to creative regeneration and to pulling your energy back to yourself so that you have the fuel to fuel yourself creatively and to really give the adequate time, energy, and devotion to your passions and creative goals, and the things that have been on your heart for a while that you haven't really, I think, had the energy or the means to really commit to. It feels like you may have felt creatively drained, or just like a lot of your energy has felt quite scattered or spread thin over perhaps 2025 or the last few months, and you are feeling this urgency again to really just sort this out and return home, return to yourself, return to your zone is what I'm hearing. Return to your flow and get things in order so that you can like replenish your creative well, your creative spring. Because again, it feels like either you have like pretty big set plans, or you just have this inkling of some sort of wildfire starting in 2026. And when I say wildfire, I mean that in a really positive way, not in a destructive way. I mean that it feels like something is just getting ready to ignite and to flow through you. Not so much flow actually, but like just spread. It's very fiery energy here. So I feel like that is all I want to say for this portion of the reading. If that resonated, I want to dive more into what is awaiting you in 2026, and we can go from there. We're going to see if some advice messages come up. This could also end up being a little bit more predictive in nature. I'm not really sure yet. I'm leaving this reading extremely open-ended. I'm just asking the broad question of what is coming towards this collective in 2026. What do they need to know? What do they need to prepare for? Again, I want to pull 3 cards. I'm going to leave the 4 of Swords, the King of Pentacles, and Knight of Wands out, actually. We're going to pull from the remainder of this deck. That's just what I feel called to do. Okay. First 2 cards here. One more. I will make those neater. I'm sorry if that is affecting anyone who this card has flown out. So let's grab it. Interesting. I'm going to move these down. So we have the High Priestess, we have the Page of Wands, and we have the 7 of Swords. I don't know why I just like when the 7 of Swords came out, I was like, yeah, of course it did. I don't know why. I just felt like, yeah, I knew that would be here, even though I didn't think that as I was shuffling, but it just like very much did not surprise me. Interesting. It's that energy of secrets again. Okay. I think for a lot of you, this High Priestess energy is really building on, and it makes sense that it's come out as the first card positioned nearby the 4 of Swords, but this High Priestess energy is really building on this energy of drawing inwards, and I think this is something that is going to continue into 2026, but in a different way. You're not going to be feeling so much like, goodness, I need to rest, I need to regenerate, I need to come back to myself because I feel spread thin. It's more that during this time of isolation that you may be in right now or feeling called to, you're going to be led deeper and deeper into yourself and more in touch with your own inner knowing, your sense of inner wisdom. I feel like this is probably already happening for you, where you're feeling called to seek answers and advice less and less from outside of yourself and more from within you. And sometimes it might feel like you're asking for guidance from, say, above you or from something external, if, say, you pray. But do remember that when you ask for this guidance, whether silently or out loud, you are speaking to yourself, you are speaking to your higher self and to the depths of you. This is actually the guidance that you seek is going to come from within you, because the same energy of God or of the universe that you pray to and ask for messages from, this is really to be found within you. And I think you are starting to understand that, or you are soon going to be. I feel like I didn't articulate that in the most clear way, but essentially it just feels like the veil is going to be getting very thin for you. If it isn't already, you may feel like you're in between worlds a little, in between worlds. And if not, do prepare for that, because I feel like you're soon going to be feeling, I want to say a little bit ungrounded, but I don't mean this in a stressful way. I more mean where it feels like one reality that you were grounded in is going to start to feel like it's shifting, / you are going to start to really understand how much you have the power by going within yourself and toggling, I want to say toggling with your own perceptions and perspective. You're going to see how you can change and truly manifest the reality that you see projected in the world. And yeah, that makes so much sense as to why you're really feeling drawn inwards right now. It's not only because you like physically or energetically require rest, it is also because you are supposed to be going inward right now in order to seek higher advice from yourself. And you've been taught not to rely on so many external things, whether these are opinions, expectations, or just information. There's so much information around us in the world, right? You're being called back to your own internal information, which is within you. And I know I'm speaking about this very present tense, but this is something that is flowing into 2026. I do feel like at the start of 2026, you may feel very much in this high priestess archetype, a little bit ethereal, a little bit mystical almost. I think there's going to be a lot of things that start to make sense to you in a way that doesn't make sense, if that makes sense. It feels like there's you're going to be seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities, first of all, and you're going to be making sense of them. But then the actual meaning of these may feel quite surreal and like, oh, what is the point of this? And yet on another level, it does make sense, but it's hard to put words to what it is. I feel like a lot of knowings are going to come to you. You may be becoming more claircognizant. I always struggle with that word, but claircognizant, which is essentially just using your intuition in a way where you have a very clear sense of just knowing something without really knowing why you know, but you just know. And that's what I mean when I say this kind of this unexplainable energy here, where a lot of things are going to start to make sense to you in a way that perhaps you couldn't explain to anyone else around you. Or even if you tried to explain why you know something to yourself, it's almost like that would talk you out of it. That would be where a lot of over-rationalization of the mind comes in. But I think you're going to be becoming more comfortable with your own sense of knowing and with trusting your intuition. I could have honestly summed up everything I said here by saying in 2026, you are going to be trusting your intuition better and relying on that more and more. I feel like your feminine energy, regardless of what gender you identify with, your feminine energy is going to be really being strengthened. And I think this is something you're going to be actively aware of and actively empowering as well. Whether you, again, identify as a man or a woman, we all have feminine and masculine energies within us. And I do feel like your feminine energy is something you will be feeling very in touch with and really allowing it to shine. And this brings us into this Page of Wands energy, which is 2026 is truly going to start off as like a brand new adventure. And coming back to that feminine energy, I feel you are going to be feeling pretty comfortable with allowing yourself to explore and expand without exactly knowing how things are going to play out or how things are going to end up transpiring. Even if there's some nervousness in that, even if this feels unfamiliar, and I do think this is something that's unfamiliar for a lot of you, this way of being, kind of acting without a plan or allowing things to play out without a plan, I feel this is something you're going to be excited about. You're going to be excited to be doing this, and it could be something that is challenging at times, that challenges your sense of security, of self-trust, of trust in the universe. And yet it feels like you are just truly committed to following your intuition in 2026. And even if it is scary at times, there is this desire to just let your heart lead you, you know? And this is the creative energy coming through here. You definitely are being prepared for your creative energy to ignite and spark and take you some pretty cool places, because the Page of Wands is a truly creative figure. This is another element of your energy in 2026. Intuition and creativity. These are key themes coming through here. And if I can give you any advice, it really is to just allow the path to take you where it wants to take you. And I know for some people that's like the easiest message to receive ever. For me personally, I'm like, I've been doing that my whole life. Others, maybe that's not so easy. And so perhaps a lot of people being called to watch this are those who are planners, who are earth signs, those of you who have always lived with a calendar and a diary and a well thought out scheme. And that word scheme brings me to the Seven of Swords, because there is still behind all of this some inkling of not a plan, but a strategy. And I want to say that you're being called to let your strategy this year in 2026 be your frequency, if that makes sense. Allow your strategy in 2026 to not be this incredibly detailed, well thought out, well structured plan, and allow it to be something that is more heart and intuition led. And you might think that doesn't sound like a strategy at all, but it really is, because you're really going to be, again, I've said this already 1,000 times, but coming back to yourself and truly coming into, I feel like, a real union with your own sense of inner knowing and inner guidance. And this is the strategy. This is the strategy. Your plan is already in your intuition. And I do feel that there is guidance here to allow your plan to be something that takes shape moment by moment or step by step. And do believe that this is still a plan. It's just not one that has a blueprint or a map. It's one that is naturally unfolding from within you as you continue down this new path, this new road. And I do feel that there is an element of newness coming through here because of this Page of Wands energy of exploration and expansion in a direction in which you don't really know how things will go. There's definitely this energy of doing something new, whether that is venturing into a new relationship with someone else or yourself, or venturing into a new career path or a project or a hobby or just a lifestyle. There's something new here, and that's why there's this encouragement to flow with it and to listen to the guidance that comes from within rather than seeking it from without. Before I started this reading at all, I pulled a card from this Chakra Wisdom Oracle deck. It was just for myself, but I remember reading the words in the guidebook. It was the Enlightenment card. And one line I looked at in the guidebook was inspiration. At this time, your journey is more important than your destination. Remember, if you face your fear, you will go stronger. Relief awaits. And I really just remembered this line about the journey being more important than the destination. And of course, that is quite a cliche line there, but that is exactly what I was trying to say here, really, with the journey is your map right now, not the destination. And I do feel a lot of you are being called to do things backwards in a way. And by that, I mean doing things in the reverse of how you may have done them previously in your life. Go against the grain. And I think that's your own self-imposed grain, where in the past you might have been someone who sees the end point of your vision and then creates a plan backwards of how you are going to get from A to B. And that could be a really well thought out plan with lots of specific milestones and goals and particular actions you need to take in order to get to the end point. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it does feel like in 2026, you're going to feel called and you are being guided to, rather than that, kind of focus on this broader sense of feeling and desire of the place you desire to be, and then allow your intuition to meander you there. The word meander really came out there. And meandering doesn't mean, I don't mean this in the way of getting distracted or going off course. It's more, allow yourself to take the scenic route, is what I'm hearing. Allow yourself to trust and truly believe that every step forward or slightly to the side that you take as you walk towards this broad goal, allow yourself to truly believe and know that that is part of your journey and that is supposed to be there. And you are being carried towards where you're meant to go, regardless of there being this very consciously detailed plan in place or not. And know that this in itself is a strategy and is a plan. It's just different to how we've usually been coached or guided or advised to create a plan. Again, your strategy is your frequency. And I feel like I started saying something about this and then went down a whole different path. But your strategy is your frequency, and that your frequency is lifting right now. Your frequency is rising. And this is going to be a really big part of what enables you to get to the place that you want to be. It's not something that is logical or earthly. There's something wordless and a little bit more formless that is going to be what brings you to the place that you're wanting to go. And that might sound scary, or like there's no safety net, or like what, really abstract, but I'm hoping that actually can give you comfort if you think about it as, I don't need to be able to see or truly entirely visualize or speak out in a structured, linear sense what this plan and what this year is going to look like for me. I just know in my heart, in my soul, that the road that I am on is pulling me and propelling me forward in the direction that I am being called to, because I am listening to my body, because I am listening to my intuition, because I am seeking guidance and receiving guidance from my higher self. And this does sometimes look like just putting one foot in front of the other and allowing yourself to move with the tide. You're not drifting. You're not swirling in one place. You are moving forward. And I think there's just a real call here to trust that this year is going to end up not necessarily playing out exactly how you expect, but it's going to play out exactly how you need and how you actually do desire it to, even if it happens in a way that is unexpected. All of this being said, I do still get this energy of speed and certain things happening quite quickly. We have a lot of swords and wands here, which are the fastest moving suits. There's still this undercurrent, though, of groundedness and of feeling stable within yourself, and very rooted and nourished. So I do feel like this speedy energy is going to have a grounded foundation to move from. But you are definitely going to be doing a lot this year, and that's why you're being prepared for it with this isolation period that a lot of you are in right now. And it's funny because I think because there is this like lack of a plan, sometimes it could feel like things are moving slower, but I think you're going to look back and be like, wow, I did so much happened, so much transpired in 2026. And it's almost a good thing that there isn't this really well laid out plan that you can see right now, because if there was, I think it would be absolutely overwhelming for you to see and know all of the things that you were going to do and achieve and all the people that you were going to meet and connect with. I think seeing that and knowing that, having any inkling of an understanding of what's ahead of you, I just think you would be quite overwhelmed. And I don't say this to tell you to be scared or that it will be overwhelming, because when you're in it and you are just moving as the Page of Wands, it's not going to feel overwhelming. It's going to feel so natural. But that's because it's going to be so heart-led. So there's going to be this desire to move towards this, rather from it feeling like you're being told to do this by like an external plan or a pre-imposed plan. I hope that makes sense. And I do feel like this is honestly just a message of confirmation, mostly a message of some advice, and also I hope a message of hope for the fact that 2026 is going to be a very self-led and creatively fulfilling year for you. So before I finish, I just want to pull one card from this Chakra Wisdom Oracle deck. I know I already spoke about, oh God, I said one card, but we have three. So sorry, I'm going to take three. I may read the guidebook, I may not, I'm not sure yet. We have isolation, that makes sense. We have creation, that makes sense. And interestingly, we have insecurity. Wow, the way that the cards keep coming out and the way I've just laid them on top of each other really makes sense for the vibes of each kind of physical section of this reading. Isolation is 100% speaking to where you're at right now. And this is affirming of you feeling this desire to pull inwards, to come back to yourself, to self-reflect more, and to allow yourself more alone time. There's also a message coming through about, I think when you come into this place truly of really listening closely to your intuition and allowing it to lead you, I think this could sometimes feel quite lonely, because there are going to there are going to be people around you who don't understand this at all, and who may try and talk you out of it, who may make you feel small for the way that you have chosen to live your life or seek guidance. And these are just people that you're not meant to take advice from. And I think you're going to intuitively know that because you're becoming so attuned. But at times it could make you feel like there aren't a lot of people around you who you can truly confide in, or who you really want to speak about your life to, or your decision-making processes to. I do feel that you're going to be okay with this, though. It could feel a little lonely at times, but overall, you're going to be coming into such a deep friendship with yourself that you're not going to be worrying about what anyone else thinks, or even feel the call or the urge to really tell too many people what you're doing. I think you still will, but it may be in more of a vague sense, and you're going to be, again, as I was saying at the start, more selective about who you're spending a lot of time with. Yeah, isolation. I do feel like you're also just being told that if you're in a period of isolation, please know that this is a very important part of awakening and of expansion. It's something that happens to a lot of us before or as something really big takes off in our physical reality. And also, it's often something that happens in order for us to become more selective about the types of connections that we are making. I also think that there is a message here about when you are trying to make an important choice or decision, or think about anything deeply, it's best that you do this on your own. It's best that you do draw back to yourself and try and process more things on your own in 2026, and even starting now. And I do think you're already doing this to extent, and it's just confirmation coming through here. Creation. Well, yes, I talked so much about creative energy coming through as a major theme for 2026 here. And honestly, this is just speaking to that. Ooh. This crystal ball here, I believe that's a crystal ball, or at least that's how I'm seeing it. So a crystal ball is often, I've actually never used one, but I always feel like you would look into it and have rather a vague visual, or see something that appears vague and has some sort of kind of intangible message coming through for you. And I do think you're this is so I don't know why I'm getting itches. Sometimes when I read, I get random physical sensations, and apparently that is the one today. But I do feel like this year, and how I described it as you having not so much of a truly well thought out plan, or a solid plan, you're kind of being encouraged to just imagine, when you visualize this end goal, or this desired outcome or reality that you're feeling your way into, imagine that you're looking into a crystal ball and seeing it in that way. It's allowed to be abstract. It's allowed to be a little warped or morph or change shape. It doesn't have to remain the same, and it doesn't have to be extremely clear cut. And this is creative energy at its finest, because you're allowing something to give you the space to really be manipulated and conjured up and shifted and changed as you grow. You're giving this year space to be creative. You're giving yourself space to be creative throughout 2026, with how things play out, with where you end up. There may be more that comes through about this card, but that's where I'm leaving it. And the last card, insecurity. On one hand, I do feel like this is speaking to the... Oh, goodness, for a moment I thought I wasn't recording. Just speaking to myself for 40 minutes. on one hand, I do feel like this is speaking to that potential feeling of insecurity over how you're deciding to live your life in 2026, and sometimes feeling like unaccepted by certain people outside of you, or a little bit disconnected from perhaps a certain world you used to associate yourself with, or a particular way of living life that you used to feel connected to. And sometimes there could be a sense of insecurity that comes up over just very humanly caring what people think of you. And there is encouragement here, I feel, over and over, to just come back to what is most important, which is what you think of yourself and how how content you feel with the way that you're living your life. I actually do want to read part of the guidebook for this insecurity card. It is connected to the root chakra, which is interesting because I was speaking about how things could feel a little bit ungrounded at times. The greatest adversary is the one living inside me. I don't want to read the entire card, but I'm just going to read the inspiration and the personal inquiry from it, because these cards do have entire stories that come with them. So, miraculous changes lie ahead. Life always takes a turn for the better when we face our demons. Stay on course. Trust that an ally will appear. The gift of adversity is never given without the ability to overcome it. Personal inquiry. Do I listen to my fear? How can I tap into my courage? Yeah, this is speaking to the energy of things happening very quickly and in a very new way to how they've transpired before. This is speaking to the feeling of, the very vulnerable feeling of uncertainty in choosing to live your life in a way that is outside of what you've done before, perhaps outside of the validation of certain people you've previously received support from. Coming back to this Page of Wands, something I didn't mention is I do feel like you may feel a little bit underdeveloped in some ways in 2026. And it sounds weird, so bear with me. But there's a feeling of almost immaturity coming through. And I really do not mean immature in the negative sense. I mean that you're going to feel like you're doing something quite new, as I keep saying. So in that, you could sometimes feel like a little bit out of your depth, or like, oh my goodness, I feel a little bit like I don't know what I'm doing. And there's almost a little bit of a sense of bashfulness about this, or almost borderline embarrassment. You might be someone who is used to feeling very confident in what you do and the way you're doing things, or you have been feeling that up until recently. And now, because you're venturing forth in quite a new way or taking on quite a few new things, you could sometimes feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, or a bit insecure over not feeling like you always know what you're doing, or that things aren't always under control. And again, this guidebook message talked about just staying on course and just trusting the path. And I think, there is just advice here that insecurities will arise. And yeah, they could sometimes be a bit of like negative self-talk that comes up, or I'm hearing voices in your head, which sounds creepy, but I mean negative self-talk when I say this, or just kind of like a little bit of an internal battle over the way, between your intuition and between the mind. The mind can definitely be our friend, but it can also be a place that harbors a lot of past pain and fear, and also absorbs a lot of information from sources that we're not always meant to seek our advice from. So I think there really is just this message of self-compassion here, and coming back to your heart and what you know to be true, and allow yourself to speak back to those voices that feel like they are just leading you away from the way that you want to live your life and the way that you want to feel yeah, they do feel like drawing on your creative energy and choosing to create even in the face of these voices or these mental blocks or like this negative self-talk that could come up, choosing to channel that kind of, I don't know, the word is not coming to me, but choosing to channel that energy of irritation into creation in whatever way that ends up looking for you. I do feel like if there are any big insecurities you've been dealing with or that you may have dealt with your whole life, I do feel like this is a year, 2026, in which you're going to be able to not only release these, but really almost accept some of them and make them your friend, or really turn some of them on their heads in a way in which you see that what has previously been your biggest insecurity is actually your biggest ally, is actually your biggest breakthrough or one of your biggest gifts. I'm going to close things out here because this is getting a lot longer than I expected, but I do hope that you may have found some sense of support here in this reading. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this, and if so, please let me know by giving this video a like or even subscribing to my channel. On this channel, I mostly provide guided meditations, but I would like to do some more channeled messages like this. And if you would like to connect with me further, I do offer personal readings. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night wherever you are. Feel free to check out the rest of my channel. Much love.